All right, so we're looking at the third part of 5.5 notes here. In the first part, we solve by taking square roots. You can only do that when there is no linear term. The second part we looked at, okay, if there is a linear term, what else can we try? You can solve by factoring using the zero product property. So let's try that with this particular example. So you have x squared plus 7x is equal to 19. In order to solve by factoring, again, we're using the zero product property, you need to set the equation equal to 0. So we're going to subtract the 19 from both sides, and you end up with x squared plus 7x minus 19 equal to 0. Now we can try to factor. Since there is no GCF, there are 3 terms, and there is no leading coefficient here. You're going to just try to unfoil it, meaning find a pair of numbers that will multiply to negative 19 and add the 7. Since you're multiplying to a negative, we know the signs will be opposite. I don't see one off the top of my head, so I'm going to make a t-chart for 19, meaning I'm going to list all the factors of 19. So I start with 1 and 19, and that's it, because 19 is prime. There's no other number that you can divide into 19 evenly. So making one of them positive, one of them negative. If I make the 19 negative, I add it with 1, I get negative 18. If I make the 1 negative, I add it to 19, I get positive 18. So that's the only middle number you can get back to, negative 18 or positive 18. 7 is not going to work. So this is not factorable, so you cannot solve this one the way that we learned in part 2. So the rest of the chapter is going to be dealing with what to do now. There are other ways that we're going to learn in future chapters. What we're going to talk about right now is graphing it, using a graphing utility. So whether that's your calculator, there's directions here that I can talk you through, or using Desmos, which is honestly my preferred way at this point because it's just so much easier, is what we're going to look at now. There's a couple more things that we're going to look at later in the chapter called completing the square and quadratic formula. But for right now, we're going to, in this situation, we're going to deal with this by just graphing it. So what we're going to do is, and again, here are the directions. These are also in the note sheet that's posted. Directions for how to do this on your graphing calculator. Honestly, even easier to use Desmos. So let's take a look at what it's going to look like on Desmos. Desmos you can get to by right on your Chromebook or any computer. Website is just desmos.com/calculator. And this is a perfect utility for solving a quadratic equation just like we have here. What we're going to do is just type in the equation right here. So again, the equation was, we're going to type it in as y equals, all right, y equals x squared plus 7x minus 19. The way you get the exponent is you do shift and then above 6, you see a little caret. That's going to make the cursor go up. I just move the arrow over to now move the cursor back down to a normal spot. So it's x squared plus 7x minus 19. Okay. The answers are simply where it's crossing the x-axis. So here and here. The x coordinates are your answers. So negative 9.09 and 2.09. So that's it. That's your answer. And again, you couldn't have got that factoring because these are irrational numbers. These are also rounded, by the way, and that's okay, because that's what it's going to be when you can't factor it. It will be a decimal that needs to be rounded. So the answer to this is x is equal to negative 9.09 or 2.09. All right. We have a last example here just to look at. I'm just going to type it in. I'm going to graph it and see where it's crossing. So 2x squared minus 3x minus 4. 2x squared minus 3x minus 4. Again, your answers are simply, where is it crossing? So negative 0.851 and 351. I'll have an exit ticket for you to do with this, and then a set of practice questions to do using this method. And then we'll wrap up the entire lesson by doing one like one lesson quiz for the whole thing. All right, so let me know if you have questions. Otherwise, that's it. You just got to graph it and see where it crosses the x-axis. Done. All right, have a good one. Let me know if you have questions.